The metamorphosis of consciousness is the process through which the being ceases to perceive the world only through the senses, and begins to perceive it also through the depth of the spirit. It is a gradual, yet irreversible transformation. It begins as a small crack in the habitual way of thinking, and expands until it reorganizes the entire inner structure. Metamorphosis is not an ornament of consciousness, but its reconstruction. This transformation occurs when the being, driven by the initial impulse, and by the solitude of the path, begins to question not only what it sees, but also what it is. Consciousness, once shaped by the collective, begins to shape itself. Old beliefs dissolve, new perceptions emerge, and the being realizes that what it called the I was merely the surface of something far more vast. Metamorphosis is the moment when depth becomes inevitable. Throughout this process, consciousness passes through phases of expansion and contraction. At times, everything seems clear; at others, everything seems to collapse. This oscillation is natural. Metamorphosis requires the being to abandon inner structures that no longer sustain its lucidity. It is like replacing the foundation of a house while still living inside it. The discomfort is great, but the transformation is necessary. Metamorphosis also changes the being's relationship with the world. It ceases to react automatically and begins to respond consciously. Perception becomes broader, vision more precise, and thought deeper. The rare one in formation begins to perceive invisible patterns, subtle connections, and meanings that were previously hidden. Consciousness becomes an instrument, not merely a container. But this transformation requires courage. The metamorphosis of consciousness, just as it occurred with Carl Gustav Jung, confronts the being with its shadows, illusions, and vulnerabilities. It requires the being to acknowledge what it avoided, accept what it denied, and integrate what it rejected. Consciousness expands only when it stops fleeing from itself. The rare one is born when the being passes through this confrontation without losing its direction. In the end, metamorphosis does not produce a new being, but a true one. Transformed consciousness does not seek superiority, but authenticity. It becomes capable of balancing the collective scale, because it carries within itself the weight of conquered lucidity. The metamorphosis of consciousness is therefore the heart of rarity. The process that transforms restlessness into vision, vision into courage, and courage into balance.